Welcome to the first ever O&S Podcast. Our goal with this is to bring on different athletes that we love and interview them, find out what makes them tick, what drives them, what motivates them, learn about their habits, their routines, their mindsets, and really dive in a little deeper and have those questions answered. So for our first O&S Podcast, of course, we would bring on our most popular athlete, Oronde Vassell. Oronde Vassell is a Brooklyn native who started his athletic life in high school in track and field, where he gradually became a star athlete there. He moved on to Liberty University, where he continued his running career, and post-college, he joined the Navy and was honored to be a part of the U.S. Olympic team through the military and competed in military World Games in South Korea. After that, he turned his efforts into weight training and bodybuilding, and he is one of the most positive and energetic people I have ever met. Oronde, thanks for being on the show.
Ricardo, thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I would like to start from the beginning. What got you into track and field?
Wow. Well, what got me in track and field, I would say, is just my background, being Jamaican. My family, mother, father, uncle, aunts, everyone's from Jamaica. Mm-hmm. And with that said, from the day I was born, that installation of that culture was just installed into me. They made sure that myself and my younger brothers, we went there every summer to go visit. And I would say what got me into track and field was when I was 5 years old. I was in Jamaica, and there was a group of dogs. And surprisingly, me being kind of mischievous as a kid, I kept, antagonizing these dogs. And sure enough, these dogs couldn't take it anymore. They started chasing me, and I took off. And I remember running past the house like 7 times, and my mother saw me like just watching me running. So from that day, we came back, and I was part of like a little prep school, okay. But they had like field days, and from that day when I was 5 years old, I was always part of these field days doing track and field events. So that's pretty much where it started for me.
Okay. All right, let's follow through to high school, okay? Yeah. So you said you started in Jamaica?
Yeah.
Okay, when did you guys actually move to the United States?
I was born in Brooklyn. When I say it started in Jamaica, that's where the kind of like the whole running thing started for me.
Right.
Okay. Like seeing where what sport I would be kind of good in. And once we got back to the States, as far as like during the school season, track really became official in high school. So, okay. Yeah, in high school, that's when it got official for me.
Okay. And so you had mentioned that when we were talking earlier, you mentioned there was like a gradual rise to your stardom. There wasn't, sure. So, Richard Thompson, which we told his story on the O&S Instagram page and on the blog, as far as, he kind of had like this immediate inclination towards running, and he almost beat the star of his athletic club the first time he ever stepped foot on a track. Nice. It doesn't sound like that was the same thing for you. So how was that progression through high school and into Liberty University for you? Because it sounds like it was a buildup. Yeah. It wasn't like this instantaneous, thing that you all of a sudden had.
Yeah. Well, this probably would really inspire a lot of athletes, what I'm about to say, because in the very beginning, I was very involved with like the materialistic aspect of track. It's a very stylish sport. You got all these different type of gear that we have, from the speed suits, from the track pants.
Right.
It just looks good. It looks great. It looks awesome. So growing up, it was all about wearing Nike stuff, So right. Like I remember my first track spikes. It was a Superflies, and I'm pretty sure the OGs in the game know I'm talking about those Superflies with the zipper in the front. Marion Jones had a couple pair of those, and I was a Michael Johnson fan. I used to always try to emulate how he ran, and just taken away from I'm already talented, and I didn't think I would have to work as hard because my school, what I went to, was a really small high school. So I was always coming in first. I wasn't too worried about the hard work. And I think that's what I mean when I say it was gradual, because I had to get out this phase of just being so like caught up in the limelight and really focus on the talent and just finding my own path. So
now what would you say, how did you come to that revelation as far as understanding like you don't want to just look the part, you actually want to move forward and progress in something like this in track and field?
Yeah, I would say the transitioning from going from high school competition to college, because my college was Division I, and of course, who cares about you being first in high school?
Right, right.
You see, you step on that track, you got these upperclassmen that are way faster, way experienced, and I remember it was my freshman year, and Penn Relays, which is a huge carnival event that happens in April. And this is where all the big time athletes come out. It's usually known for like USA versus the world or USA versus Jamaica.
Right.
So that's where like you get a bunch of like, hype crowds. And I was just going there to be an alternate because the upperclassman I was supposed to go at that time, he got, wasn't too sure if he was going to run. So I was just going there thinking I was just going to be an alternate. No, they said, no, you got actually to run this thing. And freshman, and I remember just being in this place called the Panic Zone, and this is where all the athletes get ready to go on the track. So we're changing real fast, we're putting our pins on, and we're getting ready to go on the track. And I think that's when it hit me like, okay, this is a real thing for me. Like this is kind of where I want to be. I kind of like the adrenaline, I like what's happening, but it still took a gradual thing after that day. I didn't think it hit me till my junior year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you continued your education through Liberty University. You ran track and field the whole time you were there?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And then, so you obviously got better through the university.
Yeah.
And going from being a big fish in a small pond to being a very, very small fish in a very large pond and having, world type games to where you're competing against other countries within Liberty University absolutely would push you forward and push you and make you expand your talents. So your senior year of Liberty University, you mentioned that you actually got a full ride scholarship because of your efforts in your freshman, sophomore, and junior year.
Yeah.
So after that, Liberty University, did you think, okay, I'm done, you're graduated, sure. I'm done running and all that kind of stuff. So then you went to the Navy.
Yes.
Okay. So what made you want to make that transition, instead of going from Liberty University to what you majored in into life? Why? Because a lot of people will go, military, then college, and then move on to a career. And you kind of did that opposite.
Yes.
So you went university and then you went into the Navy. What was the reason for that?
All right. So after I graduated from Liberty, of course, I graduated on such a high, athletically.
Right.
I felt like I was really at the peak of my career. And I was like, man, I PR'd in almost all my events. Long jump was really good. I was like, but it was kind of bittersweet because, again, I'm done, with collegiate sports. And I was like, man, this is it, So, of course, went back home to New York. And I remember I was sitting at the dinner table with my family, and I was just there like, man, there's something more like I need to do, And I remember at the time I was seeking something I shouldn't be seeking, and I went back down to Virginia, and I went and I was working at a car dealership.
Okay.
And it was there again. I was, working long hours. I respect all car dealership salesmen because that's a tedious. It's a brutal game. Yeah. Especially if you get a sale, you have to stay longer. And of course, there was no way I was training in that environment. I had to, again, just kind of like formulate a plan. Like, okay, am I going to do this or not? And I'll be very honest. It was when I was attending a church in Virginia, the Ramp Church, and the pastor at the time, they were having like a shut-in where they were consecration and doing fasting. And I remember I was like, okay, well, I want to just get track out of the way. So I put everything in a sea bag at the time, and I just, with my dad, because my dad was military, so he had sea bags, so I just used one to travel and stuff like that.
Right.
But I put all my track stuff in the sea bag, and I just put it on the altar, and I was like, God, like, that's it. This is it. For a week, I just left it there. And again, after that week was up, I took it back, and nothing felt different. And I called my dad, and I was like, Dad, I don't know what it is, but I feel like I need to be doing more with my life. Like, I'm at this car dealership, and it's not doing anything for me. Mm-hmm. So my dad, being military, he's never pushed it on me, me or my brothers. Like, it was not like, hey, when you get to a certain age, you better go in the military. Like, especially he was Marine, so it was a tough household, and I respect him for that. Right. And then he said, son, maybe to look into the military, and that was where it started. That's when it was like, okay, maybe I should look into this thing. Mm-hmm. So.
Now, what made you pick the Navy?
Well, yeah, I know, but especially my dad being Marine. I get this all the time.
Right.
don't get me wrong, Marines was my first choice. I remember we went into the Marine officer recruiting, and at the time I think they only would take in infantry. And my dad, knowing his knowledge in Marines and infantry, he's like, son, like, I love you, but I really want you to kind of look at some different options. And I said, okay, let's do enlisted then. He's like, no, like, look into different options, like the branch. I was like, all right. So Navy came up because I was like, I didn't want to do Army, I didn't want to do Air Force. I was like, I'll do Navy. And then after that, just talked to recruiters, chose the Navy.
Now, in your time in the Navy, obviously you have. Does the Navy do basic training, same as Army and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Is it? And obviously it would be more targeted towards like water-based type things. Now you're not training like a Navy SEAL by any means, which like going through buds and all that. But I'm sure it's a pretty intense training.
For sure.
What was your athletic ability like going into the Navy? Were you still pretty conditioned, or were you kind of falling off the wagon? Like what was the state you were going into?
Oh man. Well, I'll tell you straight up, when you go through basic training and any type of military environment, you automatically have to get a realization that it ain't about you anymore.
Yeah.
Seriously, so when you ask that question, immediately I started thinking of everybody that was doing like crunches with me, everybody that was doing push-ups with me.
Right.
Like, so yeah, I was in good shape going into it, because prior to me leaving for the Navy, I was in the delayed entry program, which you have like 9 months to get yourself ready to go in. So I joined the track club, and shout out to my coach, Jerome Robinson. I got to give him a shout out, because that man, like, yeah, we'll get to him later, because I didn't tell him I was going to the Navy. So I was just training, being in the best shape of my life.
Was he your coach at Liberty?
No. My coach at Liberty, no. He was the coach I was for my track club.
Okay.
Yeah, in New York City.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that man, he's. Well, I'll get to him. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, I was always in the best shape of my life, but I guess the Navy kind of like gelled everything together with everyone else. So I still was in shape, but I had to get in shape with everybody else. And with track, I mean, I wasn't running much, but.
So one of the things I've heard with going into the military is a lot of the training that you go through is much more mental than actual physical.
Absolutely.
Some of the guys that come in will be the most conditioned physically, in the best shape of their life.
Yeah.
But they're not prepared mentally.
Right.
And would you agree with that?
I totally agree 100%. Like I said, if you're coming in with that mentality that it's all about you, I almost guarantee you'll fail. Because there's you might slip through the cracks. I mean, not going to say that you won't pass, but you will get sought out eventually, because it's hard to be in a position, even in leadership, and think you can do it by yourself. Like, you need others around you to get the job done.
Right. What was it like having to train on a U.S. military ship? I mean, I would imagine they would have some sort of equipment, for you guys to stay conditioned and stuff like that.
Right,
but what did it look like?
Oh man, just to paint a picture, I would say it's an aircraft carrier, so we have a lot more personnel on there. So of course our gyms, we had 2 gyms, if that makes any sense. But I mean, still, it's tight. It's tight. Like,
I can imagine.
You it's tight.
How many guys are on that boat? I mean,
I would say about 5,000 personnel, Marines and sailors.
So all 5,000 people trying to get on in the gym at the same time.
Some for sure. Yeah,
easy enough.
Yeah.
When I was doing my research on you, we're good friends, but I did some Google searching.
For sure.
And we talked a little bit about this in your intro. You competed in the Military World Games in South Korea, which is similar to the Olympics as far as you guys dress up in the same Olympic outfits.
Everything.
It's a world game, so that you're competing against other countries.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the South Korean Games. You had the honor of competing in that on that world stage.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Expand on that story.
Yes, I would love to. And the reason being I say I'd love to is because this is the part of my life where I really said to myself, if I think I have what it takes, I have to truly see where I'm at. I have to truly put myself in a position to where that if I was being told no, I don't think it would have affected me. I think I still would have tried and put myself in a position to be successful. So the way it works is just like any other big time, sporting event. You have to like qualify. You have to have these standards that they feel is fit to make the team. Now,
Are you going against other people in the Navy or all of the military?
you going against every single branch in the U.S. of applicants.
Okay. So they pull from all.
Yeah,
everybody.
they pull from all angles, and again, just like I remember when I was doing some research and I found out that was a thing. Of course, the military World Games is such a gem. Not primarily, I would say the Army and the Air Force has really good relations with that because they have a program called WCAP, which they take world class athletes and they allow them to train for that type of environment. But Navy, didn't really have that. It was just kind of like, what is this, Right. And I didn't see much Navy athletes because they discontinued the Navy track and field program back in, I think, 96 or 97. I don't remember what year, but again, it wasn't really a thing. So they had all Navy sports, don't get me wrong. There's like rugby, there's cross country, It's not track and field.
Right.
So I had to deal with that. And again, I saw myself there. That's where it started for me. I saw myself actually being in that environment, being ranked amongst the best because I felt like with my talent and my hard work and just my dedication, I could make the team. And I put together my application. I got different coaches that trained me along the way to give me some recommendation letters. Like I said, remember, I graduated from Liberty with such a high.
Right.
So they were able to take the times and distance that I had done in college and a little bit after college, because I still competed when I was stationed in California. I competed at San Diego State, competed at UCSD. So I didn't stop. I felt like I still kept going just to maintain some type of fitness level. But again, I wanted to just drop this thing. I wanted to drop track. Like, seriously, like it wasn't something like, oh, I want to keep going. Like, I seriously wanted to get to a point in my life where I was like, I can't run for the rest of my life. Like,
right.
Especially at high speeds, I want to be able to drop this thing. And the South Korean games, that was going to be my hang up if I made the team. I said, okay, this is it. If I make the team, I'll hang it up. I get it. This is it. And the commander of the installation, the CO, he approved it, sent it off. And my senior chief, he was like, you think you're going to make this team? I said, if I didn't think so, I would have never put this back into it.
That's right.
So, yeah, once I got that call, it became real. It came so real.
So, okay, so you made the team.
Mm-hmm.
You're on it.
Yeah.
You're flying to South Korea.
Yeah.
What was your mentality going into the games? Because it has to be pretty surreal because it is very much treated the same way as an Olympic ceremony.
Absolutely.
You guys live in a village the same way that the Olympic athletes do. Mm-hmm. You dress up in the same outfits as far as like uniforms for the different sports.
Right.
You're competing against teams from all over the world on a world stage.
Yeah.
What was that like? As far as like a track and field runner, you have to feel like, okay, this is the pinnacle of my career.
Right.
As a track star. So what was it like, getting off that plane in South Korea and understand and realizing like, man, look where I am. Like, what was that feeling like?
Man, Ricardo, I'm gonna tell you straight up, man, a bunch of doubt. And I know you guys wasn't expecting that answer, but I guess I'll be transparent because when I made the team, I was excited. Yeah, cool. Yeah. But then immediately after, like 5 minutes later, when I went into my room, I was just like, do I have what it takes? It was like a complete, like almost bipolar. Like at one point I was happy and high, and then I went to a straight low. And I pushed myself even harder. I remember I was training even more. I was working 12-hour shifts. I was asking, I was like, I can't be working right now. I was like, I tried to ask, like, can I just get full-time training? Can I do that? And they were like, well, we're waiting, and so it was like a lot of doubt in my head. Once I was on that plane, I seen the Chile team. I seen Brazil had their team, and I'm the only American on the flight right now because we all come from different bases.
Okay.
So I was by myself, like, man, like, do I have what it takes to compete with these guys? Like,
yeah. And okay, what was your sport that you were in track and field? Which specific track and field event were you running in?
The 200 and the long jump and the 4x1 relay.
The 4x1 relay.
Yeah.
And okay, so you're there.
I'm there.
How did it go?
I'm there. So we start out the opening ceremony, and it was amazing. Like another caveat to this whole story is that I was the only track and field athlete specifically for the Navy that was selected. So again, that didn't really play effect on anything, but I just thought it was really unique because, again, I was in my Just Blues, my Dixie cup, and I see the other sailors with me, like, man, this is a good feeling. So we started the event on October.
I got the worst tickle in my throat.
It's all right, bro. I see you drinking that water. Hydrate. We do some push-ups after this. But yeah. So we're getting ready to compete. I think the first event was long jump.
Okay.
Long jump. It's my bread and butter. That was how I made regionals in college, and and that's a very technical event. I mean, it's like you're a hitch kit, you're a glide, you're a hang. So it's a lot of different variables to it. And that was my first event for South Korea. I did not do well.
No.
I did not do well. I was second guessing myself. I remember practice the night before, I was feeling good. I had a mark set out. I was like, coach was like, yo, that okay, you're gonna do good kind of look. And I went out there, man, and I got too overzealous, and I was jumping from a mark that wasn't my mark. I went all the way back, taking like 12-step approach, and I'm like, what am I doing? But I was just going with the flow, and it was horrible. I was like, no worries. We got 200 tomorrow in the 4x1. Let me focus on that. So we had practice. This is where the story gets another craziness, because we had practice for the 4x1 relay. And, of course, we're just working on the baton passes, and I spiked up. And I was coming off the curve, because I'm a curve guy. I run the curve very well. So I felt like that's where the coach put me at. And I remember I was coming off the curve, getting ready to pass the baton, and I felt a tweak in my groin. And that tweak was like, whoa, it kind of stopped me in my tracks.
This was during a practice?
Just practice. This was during practice. Yeah, so as soon as I felt that. Now, prior to all that, I knew why it happened. I knew the strenuous training I put myself in leading towards the games and then working, and I was just like, you got to be kidding me. So the trainer, the team trainer, he was like, okay, just rest it, ice it. We'll give you some, painkillers and see how you feel in the morning, because the next day was 4x1. Of course, I'm running. I was like, there's no way I'm not going to come all this way and not compete. So that was where the downhill slide happened, and I was like, oh, it really distraught me, because we actually got disqualified for the 4x1.
Why?
Because not gonna say no names, but however, first leg we took off, it looked great, because we were going against it was USA, India, I forgot who else was in. I think Sri Lanka was in our heat. No offense to those guys, but we knew we were faster. You know, I mean, we're USA. Right, so whatever. Right. I mean, it's the competition. So anyway, first leg took off, good looking great. I'm third leg, so I can see first and second before they come towards me. So I'm getting pumped up. I'm feeling good. Now the adrenaline is going, so that pain in the groin trying to go away. Prior to me going onto the track, I was doing some runouts. Felt pretty good. The trainer got me back to where I was about 80%. Right. I saw first. I'm like, okay. And I'm looking, and the second leg guy ran out of his exchange zone. Like he took off.
What does that mean?
Okay, so you have an exchange zone to get the baton to the next guy.
Gotcha. Okay. So like a certain amount of feet to hand off that baton. Okay.
Hence the practice, why we have to continually practice. Right. But again, being that track and field is such a repetitious sport, we didn't have much time to practice with each other. You got to...
Which that has to be pretty problematic, because some of the so they're like the Team USA, like that competes in the Olympics. These guys have been training for years together.
Years, yeah.
So they know, you know exactly how they're going to hand that off. So you guys didn't practice until you got there.
So we got there. So and I really hope they listen to this too, because the coach did make a big deal about it. He was like, all these other sports like soccer, I can't remember what other sport they had. They actually had a training camp prior to coming out there in South Korea. So these guys had a chance to gel, had a chance to feel each other out. There was nothing like that for track and field. When we had practice, that was our first time even touching the baton with each other. So you take that, plus the 40,000 fans that's cheering, plus, so I wasn't upset. I mean, when I saw him go out the exchange zone, he was distraught. I was like, no, come on. Let's go. I'm trying to test out this groin before I have to run 200. Let's go, Right. So he took the baton. We already knew we were disqualified, but we finished, and it felt great. It felt really good. And I can't wait to see what they do again, because, again, like I said, it was just one of those things, like you said, it was like the timing and just not everyone should be on gelling. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I still get goosebumps talking about it because I'm like, man, I remember the crowd was just so hype.
So, so you got off, the World Games are done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys place at all in any of the sports that you competed in?
We had 2 athletes that were paraplegic. Those guys killed it. I mean, I really wish I could remember her name. And this girl, she went out, she PR'd, and not only PR'd, she came first. Like, she represented well for the U.S., for the track and field aspect. We had a couple of other cross-country and also, I think, some longer distance guys do well. But track and field as a whole, I mean, we really had a challenge, and I really know this. It destroyed everyone in a sense because we was like, man. But the experience alone was remarkable. I don't think like I said, that was the biggest event stage I've been on. I don't know about the other guys. I was still kind of like, wow.
Right.
Like, now I see what dedication and perseverance can take you.
Right.
That's what it did for me. I mean, granted, yeah, gold medal would be awesome. But if you take all that away and you take the whole aspect of, like, where can your passion take you? And I stood there one time when we finished running that 4x1, even though we were disqualified. And I looked around and I was like, I like this. This is, so I think that was the best experience I ever had as far as being an athlete,
Yeah. So let's switch gears here. So I'm going to start asking more about, like, your routines and your habits.
Yeah.
So what does your ideal optimized day look like?
Awesome. I love that word, optimize. Like, for real.
That's a good one. It's a good one.
One's like, one of those words that you learn and you're like, oh, I like that word. I would use it all the time. That's me. Like, that optimization word is so crucial. So let's just take it to, I guess, real life right now. I go to class from 8 to 3. With that said, from 8 to 3, I'm in class learning, right? But let's talk about before I go to class. Now, I'm waking up and I'm going for a run. I feel like that's, for me, it's always been a good thing to start the day out, get the blood flowing, just start the day off well. And then from there, get ready to go to class. In class, is from 8 to 12 is a lecture. From 12 to 3, it's a practical. So we're in the gym. We're learning different type of, like, training programs we can do. We learn different type of ways we can train a client. And then after that, I'm, again, in the gym. So it's a very, very, like, I wouldn't say strict routine, but I'm in a routine where it's like I'm getting back into that mentality of, like, okay, I got track tapping me on my shoulder again.
Right.
With that said, my coach, I called him, Jerome. I was like, Coach, I'm in a good place right now, and I'm going to school, learning about personal training. I'm learning biomechanics. I'm learning nutrition. I'm in a good place, Coach. I want to see 2020 is right there. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
What's just for clarification purposes, what's 2020?
Oh man,
I know it's a year. I know it's the year 2020. But what's happening in 2020?
The Olympic Games,
Okay.
Tokyo.
Okay.
Yeah. So whenever you interview Richard Thompson, I let him discuss that. But no, seriously, like that's tapping on me, because again, I'm in a good place.
Yeah.
I feel like mentally, spiritually, everything. I feel like, granted, it's not perfection, but it's an environment I'm used to. I'm used to being in, like, unfamiliar territory, but still being able to overcome certain obstacles. And I like where I'm at.
Okay. So a quick question I've always thought too, like, as you're telling your story through track and field, have you always been into bodybuilding, like, throughout the track and field process? Because you're a shorter distance runner, so
absolutely,
you see these guys that they just are massive.
Yes.
Yes. Obviously the cross country guys are very, very skinny, but
they're
these short distance runners are able to maintain a lot of muscle. So have you always been a bigger athlete as far as the track and field goes?
Absolutely not. And I say that with so much modesty, man, because, like I said, in high school, I was probably like 145, 150 wet. I mean, and I just, again, it was just talent. And I went to college, and I'll be very honest, and the coaches there are probably going to agree, I always would skip out on weight training.
Right.
So,
okay.
I never was a big bodybuilding or fitness guy until the Navy. to the Navy.
So you would say it was the Navy that got you into starting to lift weights and really see what you could do, accomplish in the gym, and push yourself there.
Specifically, and I mentioned this on my little piece, there was these two guys, and I'm telling one was from Alabama, the other one was from Texas, farm-raised, cow-lifting dudes, and they were in the Navy with me, and we were stationed in Bahrain together, and had nothing but time, and these guys was always going to the gym. And again, optimization. Okay, after we're done, what are you doing? And I was like, nothing. And I went with them to go train, and they never adjusted the weight for me. These guys were the worst, but they were my good friends, like my best friends to this day. Like, you know, shout out Casey and Alexander. You know, I know they're listening, or you know, they're gonna listen, but you know. But yeah, that's when it started. That's when 2016.
2016.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay, so you went through your optimized day. I know you probably get this a ton, but what does your diet look like?
Oh wow. Okay, diet. Let me just put it like this. I make sure I eat the food pyramid.
Okay.
If that makes any sense right now. We're actually, it's funny, the class I'm in right now, we're getting ready to talk about nutrition like in a few weeks. So I'm probably going to be exposed for certain things I shouldn't be eating.
Right.
Fast food. But all right, to be honest, like I try to really maintain a balanced diet.
Yeah.
I'm so in tune with my body. Sometimes I crave like, okay, man, I haven't had some dairy in a minute, you know, and I'll go that way. But yeah, I don't know.
So you realize that you're going to have a ton of people that are going to hate you right now. Because for all of us that have seen your videos, have seen your pictures, you are cut to the bone, you're chiseled, and you've got a massive amount of muscle, and you're sitting here telling me that you don't even track what you eat.
Yeah, I'm being transparent. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm not gonna say, hey, you know, I wake up and I got my meal prep. You know, I probably meal prep like
dozen eggs, oatmeal.
Like, no. I'm probably meal prep 2 times a day and I get bored. But here's a caveat to all this. With diet and just fitness and everything that correlates to that, it's just like you really have to really know what you're putting inside your body. Because eventually, you know, it's gonna catch up. So again,
So you would say 80% of the time you're probably really watching what you're eating.
Oh, for sure.
You know, and that like, 20% you're going and getting fast food and that kind of stuff. But you're not tracking anything. Are you eating smaller meals throughout the day?
Yes.
Are you eating smaller meals throughout the day?
Yeah, smaller meals throughout the day. Like I said, it's for me, the calorie intake is a big deal for me right now. I guess I am eating a little bit healthy, I guess. Because I'm monitoring the calorie intake. Because I burn so much calories, you know, with my running and everything I do.
Right.
I'm not just putting junk.
Right.
I mean, if there's a day like, I need something quick, you know. Yeah. But I got exposed just now.
Okay. So, yeah, podcast. I'm just, like I said, you're going to get a ton of hate. Including from myself. Because if I ever wanted to be as big as you, I would have to watch every single macro, you know, and so it's, that's really frustrating. All right. So, moving on, so I don't get super angry. I wanted to recap how we met. So, for those of you who don't know, I'm Ricardo. I'm the founder of Oak and Stone Clothing Company. And, there was a Sunday I was attending church. This is how we met. We met at the same church, and you had talked to somebody that said you should talk to Ricardo because he's starting a clothing line, and you were mentioning how you know, obviously like you had the very fashionable look, so people were like, okay, you need to go talk to Ricardo, and you approached me, and we hit it off immediately. And you said, I told you, you know, we're still 6 months out from actually launching, but I'll be in touch because I'll need guys to be a part of this. Yeah. And so, gosh, it was like probably 3 or 4 months later that I was like, I have to find Oronde. Yeah. I hadn't seen you at church.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, since that one meeting, and we had a great talk that first time. You know, and just I was really excited to potentially work with you. But Oak and Stone was still so far out that I just was like, I couldn't even think about what our relationship looked like in the future.
Right.
And so, for the next 3 months, you know, I was like, man, I got to find that dude. And I was hunting for you every single Sunday. I kept my eye out and I just could not find you. I didn't know where you went. And I think I had given you my number.
Right.
But I didn't get your number.
You didn't get mine. That's right.
And I was like, man, why isn't he calling me? So I'm hunting you down. And then finally, I see you in the back one Sunday.
Yes.
And I'm like, and this was probably like a month before we were about to launch, or a month and a half.
Yeah.
And So I find you in the back of church, and I'm waiting for you to come out, and I chase you down, and we had
he tackled me, by the way.
Exactly, and pretty much. So we talk, and you know, your willingness to be a part of the brand from the very beginning, before we had any sort of followers, before we had any sort of foundation, you were there, and you were willing to be a part of it, and that. In the time meant the world to me, because there was nobody backing it. You know, there was nothing to be excited for other than the possibility of a clothing company. And so from day one, you have been a huge supporter of this brand, and now you're such an integral part of it all.
For sure.
And so what were your thoughts in that initial meeting? Of like, what were you thinking and what were you seeing Oak and Stone was going to become, or it could become, the potential that was behind it? What were your thoughts? Like, I just wanted to dissect, because for me, I knew what I wanted O&S to be.
Exactly.
Like, I know what I want it to be and what I want to continue to push it forward. But I didn't know what your thoughts were on that.
Yeah. Wow. Well, yeah. Yes. So from the very beginning, Ricardo, like, the moment, like, our first interaction, it was like, you know, you're a stylish guy, you know, so of course, I mean, that interaction itself, like the way you presented yourself was, you know, professional. Like, you knew you were so into your own brand and what you wanted to do with Oak and Stone, that it was like a magnet. Like, you had something you're driving for, and because I'm such a driven and passionate person, I'm immediately attracted to that. So not even know anything about what your clothing line looked like or anything like that, I was already attracted from your own drive. So again, anything that you put out on the table, knowing that you looked the part, like, you're a stylish guy, I was like, he has to have something great on him, you know, and I felt it. And my quote is, greatness recognizes greatness. And taking that and knowing that, okay, whatever you got, I want to be a part of. Like, I just want to be a part of it, you know.
And I remember the first time you actually came into the O&S offices,
Yeah.
and we're trying on the clothing. This was the first time you actually interacted before we launched, and you saw the clothing. And I remember thinking, like, every time you put on clothing, you were just getting so excited. You're like, oh my gosh, this feels amazing. I can't believe it.
Yes.
And I think that was like the first time you really, really bought into the brand.
Oh yeah.
And it was funny, because I would always, you know, at that point, I had been working on O&S for almost 2 years.
That's crazy.
So I was exhausted already.
Yeah.
And to see somebody come in, dude, it gave me life.
That's what's up.
I was so hyped
yes,
about the brand, and you gave me life. Like, and I was like, I need this guy around.
Yeah.
Like, I need him.
Yeah.
And so, what were your thoughts? Like, you know, what made you want to be a part of the brand so bad? I recognize that you saw the potential, not just in me, but what potential did you see in the brand?
All right. So can I say name brands on here? Okay, right? Name brands?
I don't know.
I don't know either. But anyway, there's a specific name brand that I always grew up wearing. I would say from college, when I figured out they were pretty nice. Their clothes fit very well, that European kind of cut, that style, that the feel great type of thing. And of course, remember I started weightlifting in 2016, and what happens when you lift weights? You get big.
Right.
Those clothes, the medium didn't feel the same, the large didn't feel the same, and the extra large. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, what am I going to start wearing now? So prior to Oak and Stone, I was just wearing like white tees, like V-necks, you know, still stylish. You know, I was still kind of fitting in those shirts, but I was just like, whatever. So when I put that first initial essential tee on, I was just like, I fell in love, because again, you accentuate so many things on this thing, you know. I'm wearing it right now, you know. I feel, seriously, like, it feels right.
Yeah.
And the fit, the cut, and just what do I wear after I get out the gym and I got that pump, or what do I wear, you know, it just going out and feeling good and knowing that I have like some good fabric on my skin. Like, this was it. So that was a true connection I had with the clothing once I put it on. Like,
right.
I was like, okay, thank God I found something, you know, like, so I was
that
immediately,
relief?
oh, that relief that
Yeah.
I was like, okay. Yeah.
And time and time again, that's been the reaction to the clothing. It's like, finally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Finally, there's
Yeah.
something that fits.
And
that's been really rewarding for a process that's taken me so long to kind of get
if I
off the ground.
let me interject real quick on that too. So another thing, not even just the t-shirts and the long sleeves, because to be honest, like there's a lot of different designers out there, and they do hit it with the sleeves and everything, the long sleeve shirts and the t-shirts, but the actual button-ups, that was really it. That was a nail in the coffin for me. I mean, you talk about from like, because usually with button-ups, like, you know, if you put one on and I don't know, it's hard to explain. Like it doesn't flow well, or it doesn't like come across the skin really good, and you got to kind of adjust it all these different ways to get that look, or even put some pins on the back.
Right.
But those darts and how you have those things play, like, oh yeah, I can go on forever, but go ahead.
Well, you know, so since our first interaction, from the time I met you, I knew I wanted you to be a part of the brand.
Yeah.
And so much more than just being. You pretty much become the face of the brand. You're all over the website. You're all over our Instagram page, but on the back end too.
Yeah, for sure.
Because of your energy and your positivity and your drive that it motivates me every single day.
Yes, sir.
And so that's why I had to have you a part of the team.
I'm glad you're part of the team, man.
And you were the first one, man.
I'm glad,
you were the first one.
I'm humbled.
Yeah.
I'm so humbled by it. Trust me.
And it was one of those things like, okay, so I knew I wanted you to be, I didn't have a job for you, but I knew I wanted you to be a part of the team. And so that's basically, you know, and now the rest is a short history, but it's continuing to move forward. And, you know, we officially have you on to help design collection too.
I can't wait.
And your athlete recruiter as well.
Yes.
So you're searching for those guys that we're going to bring onto the team here at O&S. And that's a really crucial thing. You know, our from the very beginning, my goal with O&S was to connect athletes to this brand in much more of a organic relationship, as opposed to what you constantly see a lot of brands do is they'll have these brand ambassadors or promoters that don't really have any sort of connection to the brand other than use my code and then they get commissions. And I think people are starting to see through that quite a bit.
Oh, for sure.
And I think it's disconnecting the target audience to what the brand is trying to do.
That's right.
And so for me, I really have flipped that on its head as far as I want to take care of the athletes. Right. I want the athlete's story to be shown and to really dissect what they do and put them first and then put the brand second. And I want those athletes to have an actual connection to the brand and love it. The same reaction you had the first time you stepped in my office and tried on the clothing. That's the goal, is to have these athletes that we bring in. And we've been talking to NFL players, we've been talking to Major League Baseball players, and we've got a lot of really cool things in the works as far as expanding our athletes that are linked to O&S. And there's all really exciting things. But let's get back to you. What's next for Oronde Vassell?
Like I said, I don't know what's going to happen as far as with this track thing. But however, it's opened up a lot of avenues for me, opened up a lot of doors of potential, you know, ownership with a business. I feel like me going to school for personal training and just that fitness world, I know that's what is next for myself. I want to, I want to really just like tap into the business aspect of what it can bring, because I want to give back. I feel like, again, you can't work. Your talent only takes you so far. And then you have to realize, like, all right, now I have to teach, or I have to, you know, not only just inspire, but give other people advice. You know, it's tough. It's tough being an athlete that, again, I came from like a mediocre or maybe, you know, like an okay, he's good type of environment. But no, I made it. I made it to a certain venue that no one can take away from me. You know, it doesn't matter if like there's haters saying, oh, he didn't even run fast, or no, he got hurt. Okay, maybe I did, but did you make the team?
Exactly.
You know, and I don't say that naive at all.
Right.
I'm not a naive type of person. You know, I'm raised very, you know, to be humble. But again, I know what dedication and passion can take you. So what's next for me now is starting the business and tagging with you and like branching out, going international and into inspiring others and bringing other athletes in that has a drive or a passion and just inspiring them. I feel like I'm slowly getting to where I think my calling is in life, you know, motivational and inspirational. And so that's what's next.
And all right, so this is the last question, and then I'll let you go because we're running out of time here. But if you had a way to get one message out to the world, what would that message be?
Stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane. All right.
Stay in your lane. And another caveat to that, I would say stay in your lane trust the process, and also, stick to the routine. Stick to the routine, trust the process, stay in your lane.
I love it. Dude, thank you so much for being on here.
Absolutely, bro.
You're the man. I am so excited for your future.
Thanks,
and not only just with your business, but the
Yeah.
future with O&S.
Yes.
And where we're going to take this thing together.
We're gonna take it over.
So thank you.
Yes, sir.